I don't want the club to be here in delivery. That's way too far behind me. But as soon as I bring rotation to the target into play, this feel turns into that impact delivery. So if I was to rehearse this, i.e. getting the club in front of me, but then I put in momentum with my turn, now that club is thrown out.
Before we start, I want to ask you guys one quick question. What do all of these movements have in common? So first, I'm going to start with the simulated baseball pitch, right? So go to baseball. Then next, I'm going to simulate throwing a football. So let's do the football. Then the next movement, I'm going to grab the golf club. And I'm going to simulate a slap shot in hockey. So here. Then the next movement, I'm going to grab this medicine ball. I'm going to do this medicine ball throw. Then now, we'll do the golf swing. So, what do all of those movements or different sports have in common? Take a quick second to think about that. So hey guys, before we continue this video, I want to ask you guys a question. All the swing talk, all the mechanics talk, and just improving our technique in golf in general, what is the actual purpose? Well, we know at the end of the day, it's to improve our scores where? On the golf course. However, what do we need to do to improve our scores on the golf course? Well, we need to practice properly, and we need to identify our strengths and weaknesses to figure out what we need to prioritize to improve our scores the most efficient way. So, I want to give you guys something. I've recently made 2 ebooks. One, an ebook on how to apply a range game to the golf course by giving you a game to do daily on the range to help improve your performance, as well as another ebook, a statistics ebook, to help you keep track simply of your stats on the golf course, as well as to give you a detailed picture of your game so you can track the areas that you need to improve most in. So, if you want to know how to improve the quality of your practice when you go to the range to apply to the golf course, and as well to have a statistics ebook completely broken down in detail to help you show what you need to work on in your game in the back of your pocket, go ahead and click that link down below. All it is just both of them are $8. So if you really want to improve your game and see your scores change past just the mechanics, go ahead and click that link below. So now I'm going to demonstrate all those movements again, and then we'll figure out what the answer is. So start with the baseball pitch, football throw, then let's go with the golf club and demonstrate the slap shot. Grab the medicine ball, demonstrate the medicine ball throw. And lastly, again, let's demonstrate the golf swing. So, the main thing that all of these have in common is that the mass of the object is moving behind. So if we look more in depth, let's look at the baseball throw. So the notable movement we always see is in this shoulder, from going from internal to external rotation. However, the reason why this movement happens is because this object or mass is traveling behind as we move forward. So if we look here, as I'm going this way, the ball is moving behind me, and then what happens is my body pulls this object forward, and we swing it ahead, we throw it ahead. So, same thing like the golf swing. Let's demonstrate it. So, for our downswing specifically, we have it where we up at the top, and then from here, we have the mass of the club traveling behind us, and then after that, then our body pulls it back forward to hit the ball. So the reason why I'm bringing this up, because a lot of times when it comes to the golf swing, we love the term of swinging on plane, especially in our downswing. So we usually have that line here that matches our shaft plane line, and we always try to match it swinging on plane. However, when it comes to real sports, every object within those sports is traveling behind. So if we think about it, why are we trying to swing the club on plane and put it in a certain position when naturally our body wants the mass of the object to travel behind us? And then from there, when the mass of the object travels behind us, then instead of putting the club into plane, we're pulling the club back on the plane. So even if I have it as far behind as this, so let me move this way, as long as my body keeps moving and rotating, the mass of the club is going to come back in the same position that we need to be. Versus, which is what we see a lot of times, is that if I were to go here, and my mentality is to swing on plane, that we tend to get over the top. And from here in this position, since the mass isn't behind us and we have nothing to incentivize us to pull, from here, now we swing over the top, or we do things such as early extend to create that space. So the main thing is that we want to simulate the natural movements from many other sports, such as baseball, a slap shot, a medicine ball throw, just as with golf. Instead of a lot of times with golf, we find these terms that are so cliche, but we forget about our natural movement capabilities. So let's go a little more in depth now. Here I have the medicine ball to demonstrate the medicine ball throw to explain something. So say for example, I have the medicine ball here, right? And let's go down the line actually. And as I go back, the mass with this object is behind me, behind my body. And from here, I'm incentivized to pull and throw it forward, right? Now, let's think if I try to go back and instead of having it travel behind me, to have it in front of me coming down this way. Which one do you think will have more power? Well, let's look at the face on. Tell me which option shows my body moving more and my muscles being activated. So here's the first one. Then here's the second one. As you probably saw, the first option was allowing my muscles to stretch and shorten. So going more into that, we know that when I say the word stretch, that is a eccentric contraction. So my muscles stretch, and then from here, as I come back down, it shortens back up. Now that contraction creates force, and force is what we need to create power. So again, if I have this heavier object, my brain is forcing me to have the mass of the object travel behind me, so I'm incentivized to pull, because when it's behind me, my muscles are stretched more. Versus if I'm here, if I'm only trying to swing on plane, that my muscles aren't stretched as much. which means less speed and less power. So instead of trying to swing it or throw it on plane, you want to have the mass of the object behind us. So then from here, we can pull it back on plane and generate more speed with our body. So I want to go a little more in depth with you guys in terms of giving you a better understanding biomechanically of what I'm trying to demonstrate when it comes to all those different natural movements. We want the mass of an object to travel behind us in order for us to generate more force and speed throughout the swing. So that term is called radial acceleration. Radial acceleration is basically a particular object traveling around another object in a circular motion. So when we think of radial, we think of a radius. So back in geometry, we're thinking of a circle, and that radius that we hear about, we know within the golf swing there's a radius with the golf club from the club head to our arms. And then when we think of acceleration, we know acceleration is a change in velocity, so either speeding up or slowing down. In this case, acceleration means speeding up. And obviously, the whole goal of this movement of having the object travel behind us in a circular path is to accelerate it and generate more speed. So I want to give you guys a tangible example using these keys to help you see it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spin these keys in this way. So as you can see, this center point is my hand. My hand isn't really moving. However, the radius from my hand to the outside of these keys is still traveling, and it's accelerating. As well, it's traveling on a circular path around my hand. The reason why that is because the force from the center of this object is keeping the outside keys on this path. Now, however, if I let it go, then all of a sudden it goes off that path. And what we call that is tangential acceleration, which is just a side note, but basically what that is telling us that unless this force keeps the outside object on this path and we no longer have that centerpiece, then there is no more acceleration. So that's basically how you can think about it in simple terms. So try to spin your keys around and then you can have a better understanding. So when it comes to our golf swing, what is the centerpiece? Well, we know it's our body, specifically our center of mass, so right here. Then we obviously have the golf club, or the club head more specifically, the mass of the club head, which is the outside object that is traveling around us. So we know the golf swing is an arc, but specifically, we know that if this stops moving, if our body stops moving, then the club stops accelerating. So for us, we want to figure out that, one, we want to keep our body moving. However, the outside object, when we think about that radial acceleration, is always on a circular path. So if we go from down the line, and I go to the top, and I try to keep that same circular path, so getting the mass of the club head behind me, then now we know that this centerpiece, the force from this centerpiece is going to keep us moving to pull it back on plane. Now, however, if we have that mass traveling behind us and then we stop, then now we see there's no more acceleration. However, the last piece is, if we keep our center moving, however, we don't keep it on that circular path, but we try to put the club in position or get on plane, then from here, now this centerpiece has to adjust because we no longer keep that radius. So from here, now we have to adjust and early extend or compensate in order to adjust for that change. So the key is, instead of trying to feel like we swing on plane, or sometimes we call that in golf one plane swingers, we want to try to get the mass of this club, especially in the downswing, traveling behind us as much as possible. So then from here, now we're incentivizing our body to create that force and rotate. So instead of putting it on plane, now it's back here and we pull it back onto the plane, generate more speed, and also have an easier time with our golf swing. So try that out and let me know how it goes.